I'm going to give them something really simple. 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes.
People have unwittingly sacrificed their connection with God for quick fixes, ultimately leading us to a place of despair. Today, I interview one of my heroes, John Eldredge, about his newest book, Experience Jesus. Really? Finding refuge, strength, and wonder through everyday encounters with God. Today, we'll help you find a way out of the soul-depleting cycle and allow you to return to a vibrant relationship with God and experience His presence in our lives.
You don't start with, how do I cram a little bit of God into a busy life? You don't start, I'm sorry, that is literally the wrong question.
Let's have a guy, I'm starting from ground zero. What do you recommend for them to encounter God daily?
God will always speak to you.
Guys, I got to tell you, today I'm excited. I'm honored to interview one of my heroes. When I had children who were 3, 5, and 7, 3 little boys in the house, 2001, I got this copy of this book, Wild at Heart, and that book shaped me. And so what a blessing. So, John, thank you. You are one of my heroes, and I'm excited about your journey, just setting the pace for us younger dudes. You know, almost 60 younger guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm excited about this book, Experience Jesus. Really? So, hey, my question is, the book released in March. So how's the book doing? How's the book doing? How people going after the book? What are you hearing?
Yeah. There's 2 ways to read that, isn't there? Yes, it's going great. You know, it's doing well on Amazon and the charts and all that. But what we care about, what you and I care about, is it bringing redemption? Is it healing guys? Is it healing families? Is it doing what, God loves to do? And the answer is, yeah, it's really beautiful. The story's coming in. I was really surprised. I mean, a buddy of mine who's a concrete contractor out in Western Colorado texts me. This is not the kind of guy that I thought would love this book, to be honest. And he texts me one morning. He says, tears, tears, tears. I'm in chapter 16. This is what I needed. And so, when I write, and I know you feel the same way, like we want to dial into the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do people need right now? What's the human soul need? And so I was trying to write to that, but you don't know if you're going to hit the dartboard or not. And it's just beautiful to hear guys like that coming back around and going, this is on time, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I read A Wild at Heart, I've read it 5 times, but when I read it for the first time, I was enamored with your opening scene chasing the elk. And I thought, man, okay, this guy is targeting a certain guy. And you're out there in the springs. I'm out here in the mountains of Western Oregon. And when you start talking to a guy, John Muir said, and I don't agree with this statement, but he said, I'd rather be in the mountains thinking about God than in church thinking about the mountains. And there's this call to the wild that we have, and experiencing Jesus, it takes place in those moments, right? So it makes sense that a guy out there in the wilderness would be experiencing Jesus on a deeper level.
Yeah, exactly. And see, for so many guys, the disconnect in their spiritual life is, I love it when we're out riding dirt bikes, or I love it, we're out on the coast and we're fishing, or I love it when I'm with my guys, playing some hoops, but where's God in that? Like, they can't make the connection that God is in the things that make you come alive. Like he meets you there, right? It's part of your spiritual life. We got to get the divide closed again and go, there's no sacred and secular, right? It's God is in whom we live and move and have our being. Like, he's with us, in us, surrounds us all the time. We can help guys discover that life again. It's huge, just huge. It's so nourishing.
Well, one of my life verses is John 10:10b. I've come that ye have life and have it to the fullest. And I think it was actually you who wrote, what makes you come alive? And I think for men in the church, for Christian dudes, we feel guilty about the things that make us come alive. And oftentimes those things aren't, greeting people in the middle of the service for 30 seconds. You know what I mean? It's oftentimes, my wife would tell you the thing that makes my husband come alive is suffering with a 50-pound backpack with blood all over his back, carrying an animal out. What? That sounds like torture to some people. So, but we live in a world today that's a lot has changed in the last 15, 20 years. I love the subtitle of your book. It is finding refuge, strength, and wonder through everyday encounters with God. And I think the issue that I call it this, the technological renaissance. But, you say in your book that we have created a culture where people have become disciples of the internet. So what is your stance and take on technology and how it is creates a tenuous situation with following Jesus?
Yeah. Okay. So, and why do you feel so alive out there?
Yeah.
We can connect these two thoughts.
Yes.
Okay. So the deal is, it's not what you're looking up online. We're not talking content today, guys. What we're saying is that when you've lived for decades in the internet world, it has actually baked your soul. Okay. For example, for immediate answers, you're trying to look up, oh my gosh, I think my kid swallowed baking soda. Is that an issue? Click, 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 click. You get 3 million answers in a second. And when that's your normal, we do this all day long. I don't know. Let me look that up. I don't know. Let me look that up. Here's the thing. Your soul is now conditioned to be impatient. Your soul is literally conditioned. This is totally baked in now. You get immediate answers.
Yes.
Well, the problem, guys, you're going to talk to Abraham about this, or David, or you want to talk to Paul about this. There was this idea of lingering with God, right? You hang out with him. It takes time. He doesn't answer you like the internet does. Okay. But here, it's not just that impatience, the conditioning of the soul. So I hurt my back a couple weeks ago. I'm like, okay, what's the best back exercises? I'm a health and wellness guy. I love to, mountain bike, fly fish, and I'm still a climber and still, bow hunt. I'm like, I got to get my back in shape here. So you get online, you look it up. This is what we all do. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the expert? What's the thing? And I find some answers, and I start working out, kind of thing. And then because the analytics know what you're interested in, you get on the next day. Here's a new expert that's saying you're actually harming your back, doing what you're doing, what that dude told you to do, right?
Yep.
This is our daily. This is everybody's day. Is that the news, or is this the news? Who's telling me the truth? Is this the expert? Is that the expert, right? Well, baked into us now, we're impatient and we're very suspicious. We just don't trust stuff anymore. And to be impatient and suspicious, it's literally conditioning your soul away from experiencing God. You don't know how to hang with him. You don't know how to linger, and you don't really trust anymore. And trusting is kind of central. Yeah. To a life with God.
Well, it's interesting. I remember years ago, I was really fortunate, John, when I got saved, and that God surrounded me with people that really were chasing Jesus. So I realized, okay, so I have to read my Bible every day. I need to have a prayer. I need to pray. I need to listen to the Holy Spirit. I was trained really early on before I was even involved in a church. So I've always really connected and guarded viciously my time in the morning with the Lord. Then when I first come to the office, I am kind of compartmentalized, so I do block a lot of this out. But listening to the voice of the Spirit, writing things down, making that call when somebody's head or somebody's name pops up in my head. You coin a phrase in your book, and I think some guys might initially shrink back, but I think the guys that love the outdoors, love connecting with God through nature, I think they're going to really lean into this. And it's the phrase ordinary mystic. And I think of the third and 4th century desert fathers. I think, we give the Catholic Church a lot of grief, but, all of our mystics, a lot of those guys came out of the medieval age, the mystics, the monks, there's so many wonderful movements Thomas Merton. I mean, you just, Brennan Manning, you've got all these guys, but this phrase mystic, this way of counteracting soul depleting effects of this technological world. So can you explain this phrase, ordinary mystic? I just love this phrase so much.
Yeah. You have to use language now that shocks.
Yes.
You have to, because it's just white noise. If I say, hey guys, let's all have a better devotional life. I mean, come on, man. I'm gone.
100%.
I'm out the window, man. I'm gone. Okay. But here's the thing. It's like you read John's first epistle, 1 John. He was right there. He saw it all. He's a close friend of Jesus. And he says the wildest thing. He says, look, let me tell you why we're writing the New Testament. We want you to experience Jesus in the exact same way we do. Okay, so the Bible is it's not an exclusive club. It's not like, well, there's spiritual people and not so spiritual people, or there's like saints and then there's everybody else. Everybody gets in on the joy. Everybody gets in on the experience. And so you've got a guy like David who spent most of his life outdoors. He was a warrior, killed a lot of people. And you read his inner life when you read the Psalms. You're reading his journals, okay? He says things like this. He says, I have seen you, God. I've seen you in the sanctuary. I've seen how beautiful you are. Your love is better than life. And you are nourishing my soul more than any feast could. Now, it's not poetry, guys. He's not writing like a Valentine's Day card. He is reporting an experience of God.
Yes.
It's like God is nourishing. God is wildly beautiful. God is incredible to be around. There's nothing like it, is what Dave was saying. You hang out, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Deeply experiential. That's what the ordinary mystic gets. And the guy, okay, so we're elk hunting a few years ago, and we're sitting on the edge of this canyon. And the elk are down in the canyon for the day in the dark timber. But I know where they go every night. They come right up into this meadow. So I'm parked in an ambush spot, on the edge of that rim. They're gonna file up right past me, and I'm gonna whack the herd bull, right? And they don't. They file out of the canyon.
Been there before.
Everybody's been there. It's like they're going for water instead of for feed, and they're headed down.
Or they're coming up in the wind swifts, and they smell me.
Oh yeah, okay. So I'm bummed, man. I'm standing there. I've waited all day, because we're in the wilderness, and there's no going home for a cup of coffee. So I'm standing there looking at an empty canyon, and God says to me, "Get in the woods. Get in the canyon right now. Get down in there." And I'm like, Father, I love you, but the elk are gone. Okay, so if you hadn't noticed, they're not there anymore. And he's like, trust me, get in the woods. Okay, so this is an actual dialogue. I'm hearing the voice of God within my inner man, right? This is John chapter 10. Not only does he say, you will have life, he says, you hear my voice.
Yes.
And I will lead you. Okay, so I get in the woods, and I'm standing there like an idiot. I'm in an empty canyon, okay, with my bow, but I get in an ambush spot. I'm leaning, against some cover, and then the entire herd of elk turn around and come back into the canyon. And in about 10 minutes, I am surrounded by a herd of elk, surrounded. And that is the life of the ordinary mystic. It's like, if you will trust God to lead you and talk to you and guide you, he will take you into incredible experiences. And what I'm just saying, ordinary mystic, because this is normal, folks.
Yes.
Right? You could tell 100 stories like that.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, I love it where Paul says, I want to know Christ and the power of his resurrection. That Greek word is gnosko. And that word is like, I don't want to get weird on you, but it's a word that's also used for sexual intimacy between a man and woman. It's a deep, intimate connection.
Yep.
I gave my life, John, I gave my life to Jesus, not because I want to go to heaven. I already thought, hey man, I'm so cool. How could they let me out? You know what I mean? But I didn't realize I wanted to have a relationship with God because I had this hole in my heart,
Yeah.
and I knew I needed a savior to fill it. And so for my path personally, like I have these yellow notepads, or this one's a white one, and I fill these daily with stuff. And every idea I've ever had that was good came out of prayer, just listening to God. So I experienced this stuff. And to me, it's heartbreaking when guys are too busy to pray. And I think they should be thinking about this. Maybe they're too busy not to pray.
Yeah.
And I'm using prayer in the most simplistic term. To me, prayer is not talking to God; it's turning.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
So let's do this. I just know that, our guys. I think a lot of the guys that listen to this podcast are having a beard. They have beards and Carhartts. I mean, it's kind of an interesting group of guys, small town guys. A lot of them are, at least.
My guys. I love those guys.
Well, they're Colorado. A lot of guys from the Springs, a lot of guys from that area, Denver, Parker. So my question is for these guys, when we could probably remove the word ordinary, put normal, mystic, but these guys are probably going, okay, can you give me some boots on the ground here? Like, help me to understand what this looks like in real time. So you're on this ridge. Now, I don't know about you, but I applaud you, because I would have been thinking, man, I'm too old to go down in there. That's a long way to come out. I'm in Colorado, God, but well, how did you hear that? Like, how did you hear that? How did you get this unction? How did you know? These guys are wanting to know, how do I hear this voice? How do I learn about this?
Yeah. That's totally fair. That's a fair question. So first off, guys, it's like anything else you enjoy. You practiced to get good at it. You had to learn how to drive a car. You had to learn how to, hunt if you hunt, or race bikes if you bike, or what, everything you enjoy, you learned. Okay. So give this some space, man. Give yourself some time to learn this. Don't get frustrated if it's not instant. That's the internet baked in impatient thing.
Yes.
Okay. But here's the thing. Yeah. I'm going to give them something really simple. 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes. That's not content. Okay. Because we have an overdeveloped left brain approach to Christian faith right now. And it's just like amazing content and do your deal. And no. Quiet. 5 minutes a day that you're going to call, this is my sacred space. And if it's better for you outdoors, then go outdoors. Sometimes I just like to come into my office at home and close the door. Because there's stuff in my office I really like. There's like sheds and gear and stuff.
Right here. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And it's a mess. I'm going to show you right here. It's a mess.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a happy place. So go, whatever is your happy place. And maybe it's in your truck, maybe it's on your commute, but you create 5 minutes is all I'm asking for. And instead of talking or noise or input, you just get quiet and you say, Jesus, I just want to be with you. Mm-hmm. I want to grow to recognize your presence. He will meet you. Are you kidding me? He is more eager to meet with you than you are to meet with him.
100%.
So you're just learning to tune in. You're learning to tune in. And it's not an audible voice. So we just need to clarify that. Yeah. You're not going to hear him like you're hearing this podcast.
I've never heard an audible voice of God.
Yeah, neither have I.
Yeah.
It's internal. It's internal. And I'll give one last little tip here. So you got this 5 minutes of sacred space, and you're just learning to be quiet. And then you ask really simple questions to start with. Don't ask the big stuff. Like, is it time to quit? Should we sell the house? Is my daughter going off the rails? You can get there, but if your questions have a lot of drama, it's really hard to hear from God.
Yeah.
And it's true for me still, right? You got to ask simple stuff. You're like, Papa, are you with me? Are you with me? Or maybe you're planning something. You go, are you in this or are you not in this? And you can just hear yes or no. You just hear, he says, I'm with you. I'm in this. I love you. Simple stuff is where you start. And then it grows. And then suddenly one day you look up and you go, oh, it was 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't even notice. Where did the time go? And it goes by and you go, whoa, that was 20 minutes. And I loved it. I loved it. Like God was here. It was so nourishing. Yeah, you grow into it.
Well, it's interesting for me. I have to be in a dark room. Like I'll come in here. I've got in my other. I have this is our studio in our office. I got dead things all over the place too, and I've got to turn off the lights. I've got to be in a quiet, dark, cool place. And for me, like when things come up into my brain that I know I couldn't have conjured that up. I write them down. Ideas, people, driving, even a person's name comes up. I make sure,
Yep.
okay, I'm going to contact that person. Just the little whispers seem to really help. But you and I are doing a lot of talking to people. But in my time with the Lord, I'm more of an introvert. I don't talk. It's like 90% quiet.
Yes.
So when I read your phrase in your book, lingering with God, I like to pray three methods. One of them is the Lord's Prayer. One of them I reverse engineer Psalm 46:10b. Be still and know that I am God.
Mm.
So, but in your book, you mentioned it earlier in the podcast, you talked about lingering with God. I think that lingering with God is tantamount to us hearing from God. Can you walk us through how you linger and how these guys can these guys can do that anywhere?
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you another real winner here. The first thing you do actually is you offload. Detachment, you offload. And so I come into whether I'm out, and I'd rather be out than in, but if I'm out or in, or I'm in my car, I'm waiting for a flight, I'm waiting for a canceled flight. You're just sitting there, headphones on, right? Shut out the world. The first thing you do is offload, and you just go, Father, I give you my work. I give you my kids. I give you what I'm upset about. I give you what I'm worried about. You have to offload while your soul is buzzing with all kinds of distraction. You're not going to be present. This is like when you're talking to your wife. I mean, come on, guys. If you are thinking about 6 other things, she's going to look at you and go, you're not listening. and she's right. Okay. So you offload. We call it benevolent detachment. We built a whole app around this called the 1 minute pause. I do it at the end of the day when I pull in my driveway. I lay my head on my steering wheel of my truck. I literally just lay my head down and I just go, I give you the day. I give you the day. I give you the meetings. I give you the email I shouldn't have sent. I give you how behind I am. You have to start by offloading. This is 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your cares upon the Lord. Like he's serious about that. Like, give me everything, if only for a few minutes. Okay. So you start with offloading. At least I do. That's where I begin. I just have to offload. And then I will do one of a couple things. I like listening to scripture. I like having somebody else read it to me.
Oh.
And so I found a couple of audio Bibles that I like the guy's voice. You got to like his voice. If it's like creepy religious stuff, it's not going to work. But I'll listen to a psalm, and I love Psalm 63, Psalm 46. Like, pick a favorite, guys, and I'll listen to a psalm. And here's what's going on. You're actually giving your left brain something to do.
Oh.
Because you got two hemispheres, and the left brain is critical reasoning and analysis, and the right brain is connection and intuition. Okay. Psalm 63, I have seen you in the sanctuary. Your love's better than life. You satisfy me. That is literally a right brain experience. It's not critical reasoning. It's an encounter. Okay. When you're out in the woods, you're not walking through there going, I wonder how many board feet of lumber this is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not. You're communing. Like, or if you're on the water, or if you're on your road bike and you're putting in miles, you're communing. That's why you love it, right? It's not a left brain, it's a right brain thing. Okay, so what are we doing? We offload, we maybe read a scripture, and then I'm trying to just get quiet. So here's what I'll do. I'll just start saying, I love you. I love you, God. I love you. That's all. 2 or 3 times, I love you, God. And I'm tuning in. And then I just I wait for him to say something back.
That's so interesting to me. My two go-tos are the Lord's Prayer and Psalm 46:10. So Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. So that's where I just really turn to him and center, no words.
Yep.
And then Matthew 6, the Lord's Prayer, our Father. I focus there. Hey, God, you're just my Father. I focus on that. Part is who is in heaven. Hallowed be your name. So I focus on praise God for who he is. So I'm offloading.
Yep.
So Psalm 46:10 says, be still and know that I am praising God. So it's that same stance that you're saying.
Yeah.
You're offloading. You're focusing away from your stuff to God. That's really powerful, man. You mentioned 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your cares upon him. But verse 6 says, humble yourselves under God's mighty hand, and then he will lift you up in due time. So this is the posture in God's care.
Yeah.
We can receive the care of God. So I really resonate with, we won't talk about verse 8.
Yeah.
We'll let the guys talk about that, or you can talk about it later. But
yeah.
But the big issue is we've become disciples of technology. So if that is the case, and where we are impatient, spirituality, relationship with God is the antithesis of impatience. How do we break free from the glowing rectangle to pursue Jesus? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. Well, again, guys, we get it. Everybody drank this Kool-Aid. Look, if you have, if you have technology and you're anywhere in the world, you don't have to be in the developed world. Everybody, you see these, 6-year-old kids in Africa with phones, This is everybody's problem. So it's not like you're unique in this. Okay. Here's the good news. One of the things they're discovering about the human brain is that they call it plasticity. Your brain actually can relearn stuff really quickly. So things that feel like, oh, this is impossible for me, I can't concentrate, you go, hang on, man. Like, God knows your soul, and he can help you rehab your life. You're going to have to rehab your life. But Jim, let's just get straight for a second. I was talking to a guy. He's a really good man. He is seeking God. But here's the question I always get: how do I find God in a busy life? And I'm at this point in my life. I'm 64. I'm about to be 65. So I'm kind of a sage. I'm at that stage of life. And I just said, I'm not going to answer that question because it's the wrong question.
Yes.
You don't start with, how do I cram a little bit of God into a busy life? You don't start, I'm sorry, that is literally the wrong question.
Agree.
You start with, I need God. Psalm 1 and Jeremiah 17 talks about a tree that is planted by living water. Like its roots literally go down into the river of God. And it says that tree will never wither. And in times of drought, you won't be afraid because you'll still bear fruit. Mm-hmm. If you want to be that tree, you start with, I need God. Mm-hmm. And I need him every day. So I'm going to organize my day around my need for God. Okay? And so you have the 5 minutes of sacred space, but then about noon for me, I'm already spun up. I like way too much email, So I walk outside, take a lap around the building. I'm in an office, take a lap around the building, walk outside, touch real things, smell real things, and come back to God. Because I'm organizing my life around God rather than trying to cram God into a busy life. He's not going to shout. He doesn't like to shout for your attention.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny, John, you wrote something years ago that I've got a lot of quotes in my brain from John Eldredge, and so one of them is, you said, and I just love this. You said, God made Adam in the wilderness and brought him into the garden. So we're always trying to get back out in the wilderness. So get outside, walk around, take a deep breath. I mean, what you're saying is get out of the garden at noon and get into the wilderness. Yep. You just do a little wilderness walk. So,
yep.
Oh, that is really powerful, man. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah. And then let me give you a couple of things, because let's make this super practical. When you go to bed, the phone does not come into the bedroom.
Amen. Preach it.
The phone does not come into the bedroom. You plug it into the charger out in the kitchen and you
Yep.
leave it face down.
Yep.
First off, because you shouldn't be scrolling before bed, guys. Like, that's nuts, man. You're just opening your heart and soul to the world, and you're going to get spun up or angry or something. You're trying to go to bed, right? Are you going to make love to your wife? Like, get the phone out of the bedroom. Doesn't go there anymore. Buy a $9 alarm clock, okay? And then here's the thing. Now it's morning. And when you walk out in the morning, you don't pick your phone up first thing. You're breaking your affair with your phone. Instead, this is your sacred space. This is your sacred time. You make a cup of coffee, you stand by the window, and you say your prayers, right? You find God. And then you pick up your phone. You just begin to create the sacred space that allows you to have a life in God. This is simple. Everybody can do this. Like, we're not talking an hour of prayer a day. Now, you might get there and love it, okay? But we're not starting you there. You know, we're not starting on double black diamonds of spirituality here, okay? We're just saying, look, fellas, like, begin to break your relationship with technology. So here's another one. When I pull in the driveway at the end of the day, do not get out of your car or your truck. Turn the engine off and sit there for a minute. Because the man you are at the end of the day should not walk in the front door. Nobody's going to enjoy that.
That's a good advice. I'm going to start doing that. That's something I do not do, and I think I'm worse for it.
Exactly. Well, you want to be a different man when you walk in that front door, because there's need. The kids are looking, Daddy, or, you know, right? And your wife's like, hey, babe, I need to talk to you about something. If you are spun up, is what I call it, you're already fried from the day. I literally turn my engine off. I lay my forehead down on the truck, on the steering wheel, and I just go, okay, God, I got to release the day before I walk in that door. I don't want to be fried dad.
Yeah.
Or mad dad. Or, you know, I'm going to let it all go. I'm going to find you. And these are these little sacred moments, right? I'm just going to find you right now. I'm going to say, I love you. I need you. Breathe into me. Breathe your presence into me. This works, fellas. It works. I'm talking 3 minutes. This isn't like hard, but you're letting it go and you're letting God in again. And then when I walk in the door, I'm just a much better guy.
Yeah. That's really, you know, I love, one of the things I get out of this is I get to scratch my own itch. So, you know, Brad Huddleston and his stuff, I've been the last year and a half, 2 years, putting my phone in the bathroom face down. I personally don't use an alarm clock. I trust God to deal with me, get me up, unless I've got an early morning wake up call for a hunting or fishing trip. Then I don't trust God as much. Confession time. But what you're sharing with me today, I'm thinking, okay, I need to stop, because I have about a 5-minute commute. It's very, very short, and I'm still spun up from the day when I pull in, and that's really good advice. I'm going to take that. And then you didn't even mention the blue light in our eyes from that phone. It hinders our sleep. We're living in a sleep-deprived world. Technology has created a sleep-deprived culture. Men, we need 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. Our beautiful counterparts need 8 to 9. And so you're not going to get that with blue light in your face. Okay, so I want to talk about a phrase. So I'm a book nerd. I'm a word nerd, and I hear things and if I don't investigate them, I don't ever figure them out. So you've got a phrase in your book, and I just want you to. I had to unpack that for myself, but I know other guys are going to want to unpack it. What do you mean by, this kind of goes along with our flow of our conversation, what do you mean by the phrase shallow pragmatism?
Okay, so this is another thing of the internet life that's just been baked into you. So the fascinating thing is the popularity of the superhero films, you know, the Avengers universe and all that. And then a while ago, the popularity of things like The Lord of the Rings and that stuff. Star Wars is still wildly popular. Why is the Star Wars universe so wildly popular? because the human soul is made for an enchanted world. You're made for a highly enchanted world, a world that's full of awe and wonder and adventure and delight, and frankly, freaky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Some of your best moments in life is like the freaky stuff, you know? And we've run into stuff out in the woods. Oh my gosh, we've run into stuff. Okay, you want to know one of those sacred moments of my life? I forgot this story until this interview. We're visiting some friends who live on the big island of Hawaii. They have a boat. They take us out in the boat and they say, maybe we'll see some whales, you know? And we were hoping to see some humpback whales. And they're like, oh my gosh, not only did we see some, they're like, there is a group of whales over here that are sleeping. And they sleep in the water vertically. They literally just hang there about 20 feet under the water, and they're just there. Well, they're gigantic. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Yeah. They said, get in the water, put a snorkel on, and get in the water. And so we're swimming near these sleeping whales, okay? It was one of the most holy moments of my life. It was truly holiness. It was awe, wonder. I couldn't speak for an hour afterwards. I just had no words for it. Okay, you're made for that world. That's actually supposed to be your normal. The internet and your phone have trained you for a world that is just absolutely pragmatic. Give me the news, give me the weather, give me my calendar. It's just very small and uninteresting. Okay? So the idea of shallow pragmatism is you can't live there. Do you know that the main reason men have affairs is not for sex?
Yep.
It's for adventure.
Yep.
Okay. Because they live in a disenchanted world and they have no communion with God.
Yeah.
I got Psalm 63 doesn't even exist for them.
Yeah.
Okay. So shallow pragmatism is what you have been conditioned to. And to become a, quote, ordinary mystic, which is just to become a friend of Jesus, is to re-enchant the whole world. Hey, you know what? That fight you had with your wife last night, guess what? There were not two people in the room. There was a third being in the room, and it hates your guts and is trying to blow your marriage up. Like, whoa, not only is that true, but that is a highly re-enchanted worldview.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you live in a highly populated universe. Okay, so this is what we're trying to get out of this shallow pragmatism and everything the internet, life, and technology and all that have done to us, and get back into the biblical worldview. Like, expect God, expect angels, expect wonder, expect the miraculous to break through, because we're made for it. Why do you want to drive fast? Because we are made for exhilaration, right?
Yes.
Yeah, guys, this is all I'm describing to you, the normal Christian life.
Yeah, that's so, well, you know, I don't know if you know this, John, but our ministry, Men in the Arena, was initially the great hunt for God, which comes from Philippians 3:12-14, where Paul said, I press on, and that Greek word is dioko. It's a hunting word. And so the go-to for us as guys is not our career. Our identity is not wrapped up in our job or our success. It's got to be wrapped up in Jesus. You know, you mentioned earlier about, you know, not, making Jesus a piece of the thing, you know, like, you know, this, you know, I was talking to a guy yesterday about how compartmentalized we are. I use the waffle thing, you know, and Jesus, if men are like waffles, Jesus is the syrup. He's not a box.
Yep.
On your waffle board. He's the syrup. He needs, and this is hard for men, I think, because we don't naturally interconnect things like the women do. So for the men to permeate, it's a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through that?
Yeah. But first, because we are using Jesus, we got to quickly deal with that. Because which Jesus? What Jesus?
Yeah.
Because most guys were given to Jesus that, frankly, they're not like super interested in hanging around with. He's not the kind of guy you want to invite on a road trip, you know?
Yeah, he's not the bearded woman, right?
Yeah, exactly. You guys, when we're talking about Jesus, again, you go to the things you love: thunderstorms, waterfalls, the open ocean, you know, beauty, music, like what Jesus is wildly good. He is so out of the box, and he is the least religious guy you're ever going to meet.
True statement.
This is going to blow your mind. There's only one group of people that Jesus gets totally cranked at in Scripture. Only one group of people that he even has arguments with. Highly religious people.
Yes.
Okay. So as Jim and I are saying, where Jesus, you gotta almost like stop and go, what am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of when these guys are saying Jesus? Because if it's the Sunday school guy hanging on the wall there with the sheep around him, not interested.
Yep.
Right? If it's the God of the open ocean and the waterfall and the thunderstorm, it's the God of the desert and the wind, you go, oh, I'm in. I want that guy. And then you were talking about, the waffle is syrup, the compartmentalization. This is really simple, fellas. This is really simple. There was a beautiful kitchen cook. He was a cook in the kitchen named Brother Lawrence. He worked in the friary. He was a monk. He worked in the friary, but he was really awkward. And so he just made him a dishwasher. He was dropping stuff. He actually ended up developing such an extraordinary life with God in his ordinary life. Mm-hmm. He wrote a book called Practicing the Presence of God.
Yep.
Great classic. Yep. Okay. And what Brother Lawrence would say, practicing, because anything you enjoy in life, you practiced to get there, right? If you're benching heavy weight right now, you got there. You didn't start there. Okay. If you're cold plunging now for, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, you practiced to get there. Okay.
Yes.
All right. You practice the presence of God through the day. You're walking into a meeting and you go, you got to help me, God, help me with this meeting. You're walking out of the meeting. You're like, you got to help me. You got to help me. You just start looking for him in the day. You just look for him. You just go, where are you in this? Help me in this. What do you make of that, Father? What do I do with that piece of information? You get the Mayday text. And this is the beautiful, quote, mystic life. The relational life, you get the Mayday text that says, I need to talk to you immediately. And you pause and you ask, Papa, what do you think about that? And he says, don't call him back yet. Don't call him back. Give it an hour. For one thing, you teach people you are not on a leash.
100%.
And they can't get you anytime they want you. Okay. But also, do you know how many times I called back an hour later and a crisis was over?
Oh, all the time.
Right?
It's just people, well, I want to get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, winking out. Yeah. Well, this is the quote, mystic life. It's this beautiful practice of the presence of God. And then it deepens and it deepens and it deepens. And the number of things like adventures that God has invited me into that I would not have done if I hadn't been listening. Right? Like, honestly, I have been in my truck headed to work and God has said, this isn't a work day. I'm like, what? It's like, not a work day. Well, what are we doing? He's like, we're going down to the Arkansas, which is the river south.
Grab your five-way, baby.
Get your 5-way. We're going to the Arkansas. I'm like, puppet, you realize this is highly irresponsible. But this is the wildness of God. Yeah. He's not in that box. So what we're describing is, as you practice the presence of God, you just learn to tune in. He's going to invite you deeper, and it's going to get better and better, just better and better.
Well, John, it's so funny. God called me into ministry before I was even walking with Jesus. I was a Christian, but I was not.
Yeah.
And then that went into raising my own support. I had a elite college education, and I was like, what are you doing? I had my dad kicked me out of the house because I was wasting my college degree and blah, blah, blah. And I just look at my life now. I'm like, what a ride. I mean, I'm serious. Like, you want to experience a ride of your life? Go all in for Jesus. I mean, it frustrates me because guys say, well, I don't want, I feel like God will make me less of a man. Well, no, you're following the bearded lady Jesus.
Yep.
And this isn't the golden baby Jesus. This isn't tuxedo Jesus. This is the God of the universe. I think Psalm 95 says, higher than the seas, mightier than the waves, the Lord on high is mighty, right? This is, you want the ride of your life, man, jump off the U train and get on the Jesus train. I mean, you're firing me up right now. So I don't want to.
Man, you preach it.
Because I'm like, guys don't realize what they're missing.
Bingo.
They don't realize
Bingo.
what they're missing because they are making Jesus a waffle square or a piece of the pie. And honestly, Jesus doesn't want to be that at all. He wants to have all of it. He wants it all, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a problem I want you to walk with me through, okay?
Okay.
You're a counselor. I've been in ministry since 1990 full-time, so yes, I am a professional Christian. And I love to pray verses over people. One of the main verses I pray is Philippians 1:6. I'm confident in this very thing. He who began a good work in you. James 1:5, if you ask for wisdom. But in the last 15 years of this digital world we're living in, I find myself praying Philippians 4:6 and 7 over people more than any other verse, because we live in a medicated, stressed out, highly anxiety-filled world where anxiety used to be something I would wrestle with. Now it's apparently a disease I have. So now we have this diagnostic where I have this disease of anxiety. Can you talk to us? Because I think your book offers a cure, and you're a counselor. So I want to talk to a counselor about anxiety and how becoming an ordinary mystic can help us be free of some of this.
Okay. I'm going to answer the question with a story.
Okay.
So when Dallas Willard wrote his seminal book on the spiritual disciplines, he called it, remember the title? The Spirit.
The Celebration of Discipline?
He called it the Spirit of the Disciplines.
Oh, you got me. You got me.
Here's why. He's like, guys, I want to give you the why, not the what. The why. Why do we do these things? We do anything you do spiritually. You study the Bible. You go to church. You say some prayers. Maybe you even worship. I love worship. I listen to worship music a lot. What am I trying to get to? I'm trying to get to John 15. I am the vine, you are the branch. Guys, your humanity is literally made for union with Christ. Not just believing, not just obeying, like literally like an intertwined existence. He breathes into you the breath of life. Okay. Union is the goal of anything we're doing. Because why? Because the soul is healed through union with Christ. Mm-hmm. It's literally is. We've worked with a lot of people in trauma, guys. We've been around the block and some really gnarly stuff. The soul is healed through union with Christ. Well, what does this have to do with anxiety? As you cultivate union, anxiety goes away.
Yes.
You can't chase the anxiety. It's like grabbing a fish with your bare hands. You'll never get a hold of it. Mm-mm. You chase union with Christ. The actual, and I'm talking about an existential, ontological, experiential Psalm 63 union. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that will address all of the damage in your soul. He will address it, and he'll literally walk into places with it. He's like, okay, today we're going to walk into your anger together. Let's go. Let's walk into your anger together. Right. And then a week later, he's like, now we need to go into the fact that you have no attachment. You have no attachment. You're a totally unattached person. We're going to walk into that together because the soul is healed through union with Christ. That's the magic that our Old Testament knew. This is the secret. You read the saints through the ages. It's the secret of their lives. Why do you do all the spiritual stuff? Why do you do what Jim and I are saying? Union. You are chasing vine and branch reality.
Mm-hmm. That is so powerful. Anxiety in a lot of ways, it's this focus on the things I'm dealing with. But when Jesus says, or when Paul says, do not be anxious, but through all things prayer and petition, it's a shift of focus to union, right?
Yep.
To shift the focus to union. I think it's really interesting. The people that struggle the most with anxiety typically have one thing in common, and it's themselves. And so, well, let's talk about Well, you know what? Golly, I think we're coming out of I've got so many questions, but we're running out of time. Okay. So let me get into this question here. So you talk about this concept, and we've talked about it all interview about encountering God daily. And you talked about 5 minutes. You talked about the lunch break. You spoke about sitting in the car, put the head on the steering wheel. Any other routines? Let's say I'm a guy, I'm starting from ground zero. I'm listening to this podcast. I'm stressed out. These guys are commuters, man. They're listening on the commute, or they're at their home on YouTube. What can you, and we really want these guys to go buy the book. I mean, you just have a way, God has given you an ability to communicate with men in a way that resonates. So they need to buy the book, but while the book is being shipped from Amazon, what do you recommend for them to encounter God daily? Anything different than what we've already spoke about?
God will always speak to you in your native tongue. He's not going to speak a language that you don't understand. So where do you normally go to feel better, other than like drinking a 6-pack of beer? Like, where do you go? Like, what do you do? You're like, oh, I go to the gym. Then take God with with you to the gym. I go outside. I ride my bike. I fire up the Harley. Awesome. Go with God. Mm-hmm. Like, he will meet you in your native language. He will meet you in the things that are already nourishing your soul. Okay. That you thought were maybe just dumb stuff that you do. Right. You just like to go out in the garage and fiddle around. I love fiddling around, man.
Yeah.
God is there in it, waiting for you. You practice his presence. So while you're fiddling around, you're like, hey, Papa, I'm pretty fried. Can you come into that? Or you're on the Harley and you're flying down the road and you're like, Jesus. You're just saying his name. You're just enjoying his presence. Mm-hmm. Right? Find him in the things you already love.
That is so good, man. I appreciate that. We bought a little cabin on the Deschutes River and in Oregon. You're more than welcome to it anytime. It's a little dinky 1,000-foot deal, but just I told my family, spread my ashes on the Deschutes. That's
yep.
I got chuckers calling behind me. I've got red band rainbows biting a pale morning dawn or a blue olive, and I've got bighorn sheep, all in the same setting, man. But just that place where and you know what? It's funny, in those moments, God doesn't speak to me in a way where I'm going, oh, write this down. Remember this. It's just a peace, a calm
yes.
place. So,
yes.
Okay. So I think that we've already discussed this, but I want to end with one thing. And it's this. What do you want these guys? I mean, I know you're writing for men and women here, but we're talking to men right now. What do you want men to experience from your book? Experience Jesus, really. Guys, that's the title, by the way. Experience Jesus, really. What do you want them to? They're probably going, why does he say really? But what do you want them to experience? What potential blessings are they going to get from this divine communion with God amidst a digitally inundated world?
You realize that's a 3-hour conversation.
Hey, I've got time, bro. If you do.
Okay. I mean, come on, like that's a 3-hour conversation. I think I want to answer it in a couple ways. Let me say it this way. You get David's life. You get Paul's life. You get John's life. You do. All those guys would tell you, no. We're not exceptions. We're examples. This is what it looks like.
Oh, that's good.
We're not the exception. We're just examples. Okay. Gideon, normal guy. Okay. I mean, on and on through the scriptures. Jeremiah, when he gets called, he's like, what? Like, no way, man. You get that life. You get that life. Okay. That's part of what I'm saying. We have to get back to the offer. You get that. The other thing I think I would say is this. Your humanity needs a lot of care, fellas. You know that. You know your rage. You know your sexual stuff. You are never going to manage yourself out of that. You're just not.
I love that statement.
That what you get is something so surprising, it's actually going to leave you speechless. In Colossians 1, it says Jesus holds everything together. The entire universe, he holds everything together. Well, he wants to hold your humanity together. He wants to literally make you whole. And so I just know a lot of dudes who have taken this path now, and they would say things like, I really love my wife. Like, I'm not forcing it anymore. And the porn thing, yeah, that's in the rearview mirror. It's not an issue. You know, they'll say things like, I used to hate my mom, but I'm better now. I actually have forgiven her. Like, there is a wholeness of a masculine soul that God does inside you. That's what you get from this offer.
Oh, that's good. That is so good. You know, it's really funny that you say that. I've got, you know, we talked on an earlier podcast about the hardest thing is raising 20-something sons, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I've got, my kids are leaving and in the middle of the 20s, but my oldest is just really proud of him. Just seeing how God is invading his world, how he's experiencing Jesus. That is what's changing him. It's not dad, the pastor, telling him what, do this, don't do this. It's the experiential knowledge, the gnosko.
Yes.
Jesus. It's just really, really, because it's no longer about what to do and what not to do. It's about Jesus.
Yep.
Period.
That's right.
Yeah, it's good stuff. John, it is so cool to have you on. It's always an honor. You're one of my heroes.
Thanks, pal.
I know the answer to this next question. This is not a 3-hour question, I promise you. We really want to push guys to your book. Your voice has been relevant since before like the late 90s. It's still relevant today. Talk to us about where you want to send them to get your book.
Go to Amazon, guys. Make it easy, right? I mean, you got other things to do.
Yeah.
Just one click and it's there. And I read the audiobook, by the way. And a lot of guys really prefer audio.
Yes.
Just reading's kind of hard. Get the audiobook. It's killer. Because I just start riffing in the book. I just pause and start going, let me tell you why I wrote that. Or, hey, let me, so it's very neat. It's very conversational. Yeah, get the audiobook.
And so we just came out with a book in September. It's like right over there. And they made me do the audio. And I'm like, I am a horrible reader. I read beyond my words. And they're like, no, we want you to do it. Tell stories. So our audio book is so much better than the written book because I'm telling stories. This chapter was this. Yes. It's not this. Here's what made me mad. I changed this. I didn't understand this. Yeah. And, and you get to spitball. You called it riffing. I call it spitballing. You just get there spitballing with these guys. It is really, really fun. And so, and let's face it, John, these guys are commuting. And these guys are living in the stress bubble. They don't have time to, a lot of these guys don't have time to sit down and read, but they can drive, and listen, and let the Holy Spirit just resonate with their soul as they're listening to John Eldredge. So heck yeah, I say yes.
Beautiful.
Hey, God bless you, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
What an honor. Thank you. Thank you for all of the honor. I'm really very humbled by that. And I love your work. I bless what you're doing. Keep it up, man. Stay the course.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot coming from you.
Stay the course, buddy. You're doing great.
Appreciate it. Keep seeking Jesus.
Okay. Yep.
Have a great day.
Okay, you too.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's podcast episode with John Eldredge, man, copy the link, shoot it over to one of your bros who may be struggling with over digitalized world and needs to grow deeper in his faith. And man, let's spread the word, helping guys become their best version in Christ in the stress bubble and beyond. Until next time, feel the wet sand on the arena floor, hear the deafening roar of the crowd, taste the sweetness of victory, smell the stench of battle, get in the game, get dirty, grind it out, experience Jesus, and be a man.